is the good hour just referring to a period of time during which you are losing and creating and not being self-conscious or having external motivations, or does the good hour refer to something else? I wanted to better understand the differences between the two.
I think the good hour is, it starts off with that feeling that's sort of pushing you into that experience. And then along the way, you lose yourself and then find yourself. It's like a lot like conversion. If you study like conversion experiences, religious experiences, people often talk about the dark night of the soul, where there's some emotion, something the person is struggling with, the meaning of their life, the meaning of existence, and they struggle with that, and then something happens. Suddenly all of that disappears, they lose themselves, and that's when they have that transcendent experience of some truth comes to them, that aha affirmation experience. I think that's what happens in the good hour. At some point there has to be that letting go of myself and my need to take a good photograph and my ambitions and my knowledge about photography, all of that sort of falls away. And that's when you can kind of see things clearly. That's what mindfulness is about too, is that ability to kind of let go of thoughts and thinking and desires and expectation, because all that stuff is just like a smoke screen that's preventing you from seeing. And I think that's what Cartier-Bresson meant to us about being sensitive to coincidence. Sniff, sniff, sniff. You're looking for that moment to capture. And if you have too many thoughts and expectations about getting that just prevents you from seeing clearly. Does that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay.
So in your work, looking at his photographs, especially the contact sheets, and maybe you could see which photos he took and which one he selected to be the decisive moment. Did he really follow the precept of no cropping pretty much? I know when I went to look at the exhibition, that was the first thing I noticed in the exhibition. There were, for me, a lot of distracting images that I would have cropped out.
Okay.
Is that what you found looking at his work?
I haven't seen his contact sheets. I've only seen the photographs that were printed, but I know in my photographs too, sometimes there are things on the periphery of the photograph. Oh, that's disgusting. I'm gonna crop that out and kind of make it more pure and simplified. And I think that's what some people mean about, sometimes it's nice to have a raw photograph where there's a little bit of things happening on the perimeter that give a feeling of spontaneity to the photograph, and the idea that the photograph is an isolated scene in time, but there's a suggestion that there's more beyond that particular image. So I kind of struggle with that myself in photography. I want to crop out that stuff on the perimeter. I get rid of that thing, But sometimes I'm forcing myself, now maybe I'm going to leave that in. Maybe that makes the photograph a little bit more interesting.
Thanks. Sorry, my English is not that good, I'm Dutch. I was wondering, some people say that every photo is a self-portrait, and you were talking about the good hour and losing yourself, but what do you think about that being a self-portrait? Do you have thoughts about that photo being a self-portrait when you lose yourself?
I think every photo is a self-portrait because you're only going to take a photograph of something that interests you. If it's something that interests you, then saying something about you and your likes and the things that are important to you in your life and things that you have feelings about. Often the most important stuff about who we are the things that are hard to verbalize, things that, it's like, if you're thinking in terms of like psychoanalytic theory, there's the iceberg model. The stuff above the surface, our conscious knowledge of ourselves, okay, that's who we are, that's interesting, that's important, but the important stuff is the stuff that's below the surface. The stuff that really kind of penetrates to the core of our psyche. And for that stuff to surface in photography, I think means letting go of repressive barriers, letting go of the concepts of who you think you are. Like sometimes the way you think you are on a conscious level, on an unconscious level, you're exactly the opposite. I mean, Jung talked about polarities in personality, how all, it's like the yin-yang symbol. We're all the yin-yang symbol, we're combinations of opposing forces, a balance of opposing forces. But typically we're only consciously aware half of that, and the other half is unconscious. To reveal the unconscious part often means letting go of conscious control. Then it's like in dreams. Like in dreams, you don't control over your dreams. It's not like you go to sleep and say, hey, I'm going to dream about this, unless you're a lucid dreamer. I don't think ever hear a lucid dream, that's really kind of special skill. But when you dream at night, you're revealing deeper parts of your psyche, and it surfaces because your conscious mind is taking a break.
How do you cultivate that certain, okay, thanks. How do you cultivate certainty to know that this is the moment and then be able to say why it is and, yeah, how do you cultivate these moments? Oh, certainty.
Okay. The certainty of knowing that this is the... Well, you know, people nowadays are talking about mindfulness. Does anybody here practice mindfulness meditation? Do you find that it improves your photography?
I find that it connects me, creates a stronger connection with my intuition.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I do get like a stronger physical sense of like this is some sort of a moment. And
Okay.
then I click without my mind interfering.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I think if you have the patience to practice mindfulness meditation, I mean, it's all about letting go of thinking and analyzing and figuring things out and anticipating and worrying. You kind of clear that stuff away because that's all like, you know, the smoke screen that's preventing you from seeing not just what's out there, but also what's inside you at a deeper level. So you can kind of clear away that smoke screen. I think it makes it easier for the external event to trigger the internal event, and then they kind of come together. And I think that's what Cartier-Bresson talked about, something like a mystical experience where the external and the internal come together in that moment, and the middle stuff of conscious control and understanding and desire to kind of take away that layer, and then the internal and the external come together in the photograph. I don't know if that makes sense. You willing to practice mindfulness meditation? Try all sorts of information online about how to do it. I tell my students, just 5 minutes a day, practice it, just 5 minutes. And if you can't take 5 minutes a day to practice it, there's something wrong with your life. You're too busy.
I had a quick follow-up. So we've been talking about, you know, these conscious beliefs and the subconscious, etc. And you mentioned the dark night of the soul earlier. But do you think it's a prerequisite to have those kinds of feelings and emotions and conscious beliefs? Because the good hour implies we start out somewhere, and then we have the dark night of the soul, some sort of a journey, and then we arrive at some sort of a clarifying, decisive moment. So do you think having all these human sort of non-Zen moments is a prerequisite or requirement to having a decisive moment?
Yeah, a prerequisite in the sense that, you know, does anybody here not have any anxiety or depression or worry? Raise your hand, because if so, I'd like to talk to you afterwards. So I think we all have that, you know, sort of intrinsic, eternal struggles with something in our life, some kind of internal conflict or unresolved business or feelings. And I think in photography, people are, you know, if they're doing it in an artistic way, even people, I talk about my students about taking their selfies. You know, when students are taking selfies, it's almost always, they're working on something. There's something about themselves that they're trying to undo or express about themselves. Often it's an attempt to create an idealized version of themselves, the perfect self that they would like to be, but then there are all sorts of internal obstacles preventing themselves from getting there. So and that's what therapeutic photography is all about, is using photography as a way to work on yourself, as a way to express yourself, to put it in a concrete visual form, something inside of you that otherwise is intangible and formless. When people come to psychotherapy, often they're not sure why they're there. They have like things in their life that are going wrong that they want to fix, but on a deeper level, the experience they're having trouble with is they can't verbalize it, that they don't have a grasp of what it is. And in therapeutic photography, I think it's this activity that helps them do that.